Welcome to Audiobook Connection, the weekly podcast that pulls back the curtain on the audiobook world. I'm your host, Becky Parker-Geist, and we're here to help authors, narrators, and listeners connect more deeply with the stories they love. Let's dive in. There are 3 platforms that shifted under authors' feet this year, and one brand new one that just launched that changes the whole equation. I'm your host, Becky Parker-Geist. Let's get right into it. So there have been some really big changes this year in the distribution of audiobooks, and these are changes that are in some of the biggest platforms. So it's really important that you understand what's going on. I think that there's a lot of confusion about what the changes mean for authors, what the risks are, and how to really think through your choices on what you're going to do with your audiobook distribution. So the one that you've probably heard the most about, because they are the biggest, is ACX. ACX is a division of Amazon. It is the production side of Amazon for audiobooks. And Audible, of course, is the primary channel that goes out to. The only other one is iTunes. So they have announced, and it's now effective, a new royalty model. It launched on May 26th of this year. And the change is, there are several parts of the change. The first one that they have focused on, because that's what they want you to focus on, is that their new exclusive rate goes to 50% and their non-exclusive rate goes to 30%. This is based on, quote, member value, not on sale price. I also have to really highlight something so important to understand, because the retail platforms rely on you misunderstanding this information. They count on it. They know you will, because the numbers that they're putting out there, when they don't clarify, they are counting on you assuming that they mean that it is a percentage of the retail price being whatever the customer pays. And that is not true. You need to understand that is not true. They are giving you a percentage of what is the net. Now, the net is not clearly defined. The net of any transaction would be the total that was revenue that was collected from the customer, right? So whatever the customer paid. And then they deduct what they consider the cost, their cost of getting that sale. And then the balance of that is the net. So you get a percentage of net. And the reason I say it's not transparent, not clear, is that they don't tell you what they calculate in their expenses. So it's really very much behind the curtain. And you just have to kind of rely on and accept whatever they're going to pay you. So it's important to understand, again, they're giving you, if you say that you'll go exclusively with them, that means you'll limit your audiobook distribution only to Audible and iTunes. And all the 60 plus other channels selling from your website, any of that is off the table. Okay? They're saying they'll give you 50% of the net. But again, this is now, with this new model, it is not based on the sale price. It is based on something they are calling member value. All right. And then, of course, the non-exclusive, 30%. But you see, I wanted to point out the details of these numbers, because I think they actually mean a whole lot more than the numbers themselves. The very small change in percentage that they've made is more likely for most authors, it's more likely to turn out to pay out less. And this is what we're going to get into more today. So the legacy ACX model is going to be gone at the end of this year. December 31st, 2026, that model ends. And that is an important deadline for you to track if you are or if you have audiobooks that you are distributing currently through ACX. So, authors have to re-enroll with ACX, or you're going to lose your distribution through that platform. So you need to make a decision. And what I am hoping to provide for you in this series, this will be a short series of podcast episodes. But what I hope to provide for you is enough information so that you are making an informed decision about which way to go. So this new ACX royalty model is, as I say, it's based on member value, not on flat sales price. And in the next episode, I'm going to go more deeply into the very complicated formula that they're going to be using. So I will dig into that. So please join me for the next episode. There's just too much big news around this topic to fit it all into one episode. So please bear with me on that. Another piece of important information around audiobook distribution, another big platform change, is that we used to have Findaway Voices, which was distributing a large segment of audiobooks to a broad range of retailers. So that was purchased by Spotify. And then what they did was they actually split it apart so that Spotify kind of split off their own portal, and they now have Spotify for Authors, which is a direct upload that sends your audiobook straight to Spotify. And that is different from and now separate from all the other platforms. That distribution is now being handled by what they call InAudio. And just want to say a couple things about this platform. So it's different. You won't find Findaway Voices anymore. It's not there. You can look for Voices by InAudio. It launched last year. It has the same founders that Findaway Voices had, but they are now Spotify is separate. So something that I want to share with you, this is my own anecdotal experience with and our team's experience. And it's also reflected in comments that I've heard in a lot of different conferences and things that I've been going to, that so far InAudio is in a mess. It's not a good customer experience. We'll just put it that way. I don't want to rail on them too much. Findaway Voices was a good service, although we have been working with Authors Republic for pretty much since they started. And that was, I think, 2015. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. But quite a while ago, and they have really good customer service. So if you're looking for that broad distribution, I'm going to recommend go to Authors Republic instead of InAudio. Personal opinion, that's just our experience, okay? The other thing you want to know is another change that ACX has implemented is that now they are changing that exclusivity lock. It's now 90 days instead of years, and so that's a good thing because I think what they're trying to do now is something similar to what they do with their ebooks on KDP, and that is to get you locked in, and hopefully you'll stay locked in if you're not paying attention and want to intentionally make the change. But this should make it easier because I know we've worked with a lot of authors that want to break free of an exclusive contract they got into years ago, and then just ACX makes it so difficult. So that's a piece of good news. Next, I want to share, so the other big real headline here is there's another way. There's a better way than both of those, or I should say all three, because really we were talking about ACX and Findaway Voices and Spotify or so Findaway Voices that became InAudio and Spotify. So, but the real thing, and you've heard me talk about it before if you've listened to my podcast before, but AMPlify Audiobooks, with its new version rolling out this year, has really been a game changer for authors. We started the rollout early in April of this year, and I'm the first to say straight up front, it was a little, the beta experience is challenging sometimes, But the thing is, we wanted to get these tools out to authors as quickly as we could. Our plan was to launch last October. Things got delayed. So we're at a point now where I am very excited to share the platform and how it's getting so much smoother. There's so much more there for you. There's so much more coming. So we have rolled out AMPlify Audiobooks version 3, and it is a place where you can, first of all, earn way more royalties. We're talking 2 to 4 times the royalties that are typically paid out by platforms like ACX and what was Findaway or InAudio or Spotify, because we came to this not as how can we make more money from our clients. We came to this as like our clients are frustrated because their royalties are so low. And I was hearing this really from after the first couple of years in business, and I knew then I want to do something to make it better for our authors. I want to make it so it's a no-brainer to do an audiobook because you, of course, will get a return on your investment. I wanted a place where I could send our authors, if you want to run a promotion, go for it. It's in your control. You can do it. And a place where you want to do any kind of discount codes you want, you go for it. You have that control and that power. And now, this year, this platform has expanded in ways that are so exciting. Not only do you already get what we had offered previously, but now we have built in ways to connect directly. Authors, listeners, narrators can be in conversation around their audiobooks. I like to think of audiobooks as sort of the campfire around which we gather, because to me, gathering around a campfire is one of the most wonderful experiences that I've had in my life. Being together with people, sharing stories, laughing, just really being humans together. Something we need all the more in this wild world that we are in now with all this technology and AI and everything else. So we've been able to create this platform now where this engagement can be happening. In addition, other ways that we have provided to engage. Audiobook clubs that are real-time, real people online, but real discussions that we can engage in around different types of audiobooks. We also have events. If you're launching an audiobook, even if you launched it a while ago, but you're relaunching it on AMPlify, you can hold an event. And not only your own following will see that, but everyone who's on the platform will see that. You see how we opening the doors to more people and helping with audience building. And on top of all of that, we also are building in more and more and more marketing tools right into the platform so that you can market effectively, so that you have opportunities and tools with which your title and yourself as an author can pop up to the top so that more and more people will be able to see who you are and what your audiobooks are. So I'm going to pause there. I think we just need to take a short pause, and then let's come right back, and we've got a little more to cover on this topic of the great distribution shakeup in the audiobook world. We'll be right back. Okay, let's get real. Sadly, most authors struggle to reach their full audience and find it almost impossible to earn back their investment in audiobooks. Why? Because standard retailers pay such low royalties and give authors no control or marketing tools. But AMPlify Audiobooks is changing the equation. You earn about triple the royalties compared to standard retailers, and that adds up fast. You have complete control over pricing, access to who your customers are so you can connect with them, mapped out and gamified marketing quests so you always know what's next on your marketing journey. And it's fun. A host of built-in marketing tools to help you reach more people, and a community that's excited to discover and support new voices. All so you can become the successful author you've always dreamed of. So stop whispering into the void and start building real momentum. AMPlify Audiobooks, because books should bring us together in ways that help us all thrive. AMPlifyAudiobooks.com. Let's talk about why Amplify is actually bigger news than the ACX changes that everyone's talking about. See, ACX, Audible, Amazon, they are still just retailers, right? They are about the transaction. They set the price, and you get a cut. And the thing is, it's not a very big cut. So even though, and a lot of people think, well, yeah, but they're so big, so I have to be there. Well, let me point something out to you. The fact that they are so big is not necessarily working in your favor. Here's why. When you post an audiobook, you're still responsible for all of the marketing for that audiobook, and that's going to be true really wherever you go, right? So if you're going to be doing the marketing, don't you think you should get a better share of each sale? I do. Okay, and on top of that, if you think about the fact that there are, hundreds of thousands of audiobooks in their catalog, do you think yours is going to pop up to the top? We work really hard to create like bestseller status and things like that, and to use the tools that are available on KDP, for example, to be able to market our books and audiobooks. And even Amazon does not make marketing of audiobooks any easier. It's easier for them, or easier for you to market your other formats than it is for you to market your audiobooks, just because of the way that they've built the platform at this point. Now, at some point, they might make some changes. They're always making changes. But the thing is that they are still retailers, and they're still focused on the transactions, right? And because of the way that they benefit the most from getting subscribers, really what they're doing is they're using your content to get subscribers to their platform. Keep that in mind. That is their goal. And so when they give away your audiobook for free and pay you nothing, they have achieved their goal, and you got hurt in the process, but they achieved their goal. You see, so we have to understand where they're coming from. Really, I'm not trying to although I do have a very strong opinions about Amazon, how it's run, Bezos. I have very strong opinions about that. But I am not trying to say here that Audible is evil. Okay? That's not my point. But if we don't understand what their goal is, then you might think that they're trying to do you a favor in some way, or somehow it's this great gift that you're able to put your audiobook on their platform. And what I'm telling you is, while that may have been true when they first launched, because there weren't other options, it is no longer true, because now there are lots of options. They did a good thing in terms of building up the audiobook audience. We can be very grateful for that. All right. Now, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, so I want to just pull myself back a little bit and just say, so we're talking about why the announcement about AMPlify and that launch is even bigger news than the changes on ACX. Okay, so ACX, it's all about the transactions. They retain all the control. They choose how much you get. On AMPlify, you set the price. You have complete control, and you keep 65% of the gross amount of each sale. That means that whatever you decide the customer needs to pay for your audiobook, that you're going to get 65% of that amount. Now, if you put it on sale, you get 65% of whatever the customer pays. If you give someone a discount code, likewise, you get 65% of whatever the customer pays. So it's clear, it's transparent, and it's way more fair. And I'll tell you, we've looked at the numbers, and the numbers tell us that the amount that we pay out from AMPlify versus other platforms like ACX, we're typically paying out for the exact same price on an audiobook. We're paying out about 4 times the amount. Okay? It's not always going to be precisely that. Sometimes it's going to be closer to 2 times the amount. And that's more true with other platforms. Like when you distribute through Authors Republic, you're going to get a better rate than you get through Audible, through ACX. All right? You will earn more on those other sales. But there, AMPlify is still paying about twice that amount. So now as you start to think about, well, what does that mean then? I mean, that sounds great, right? Okay, what it means that you only, if just in terms of thinking about earning back your cost, your return on your investment, it means it's only going to take you half or 1/4 of the number of sales in order to earn back your investment. But there's more than that, because it's not just about the money. Most of the authors that I talk to aren't so much in it for the money as they are for the impact that they want to have in the world, or the message that they're trying to share with a world that needs it. They're driven by their mission, by their message, and the importance of that in a world that needs each one of our voices. So when you start to factor that in, then look at the difference in terms of being completely separated from your customer, not ever being told who they are, or certainly no way to reach out and connect with them, versus an environment that is built around bringing our audience and our authors and our narrators all together into the same room, all together into the same conversation about each audiobook. And you could start to see that it's so much more than the dollar signs, right? It's really about this impact that we can have and the community that we are building together. That is power. So, just circling back a little bit to the money piece. There are, some of the other retailers are going to pay a little bit more. I mentioned that. Typically with, through Authors Republic, you're going to get something approximately overall averaged out about 35% of that amount that it was sold for. It's a complicated formula, and with a distributor that is sending your audiobook out to a wide range of platforms like Authors Republic does, each of those retailers has a slightly different formula. And so that is what, that's why they can't say, well, you're going to get this exact amount. It doesn't work out neatly in that way when you're talking about 60 plus channels. But what a great reach to have. And when I talk about AMPlify, and the great value of being there. I'm not saying don't be in the other places, but as I said earlier, each one of us is responsible for our own marketing efforts. If you're going to be marketing your audiobook or your book or yourself as an author, because it's all wrapped together, when you're going to be out there marketing, don't you want to send your people to where it's going to benefit you and them the most? Of course you do. And that is why when you're out there marketing, it's good to have your audiobook in all the different places where people may be looking, but send them to the place that's going to give you and them the best experience. Because when your listeners can actually connect with you, like write questions to you or notes to you, their experience is going to deepen. Their transformation is going to be greater because that interaction, that relationship, both with the content and also with you, is what makes that happen in a much bigger way. One of the other things that I just wanted to say about the difference between Amplify and the other platforms, and I touched on it earlier, and I'll talk about it again a little bit in more detail later, but some of the marketing tools that you have available on Amplify, I understand very well the challenges, especially for independently published authors, that we face when we're trying to do our marketing, right? Because it feels like we're either looking out at the world and thinking, oh my gosh, I don't even know anything that I can do to make a difference in marketing, or all the things that I see are things that I don't want to do, or I don't know how to do. The other experience is I see all of these different possibilities. I don't know where to begin. One of the things that we are building in to the AMPlify Audiobooks platform are these quests that will, it kind of gamifies marketing, makes it a little bit more fun, right? And takes the challenge out of it because it gives you step-by-step instructions for each step along the way to work on a particular aspect of your marketing. So because of my many years being president of Bay Area Independent Publishers Association and my many years as CEO and founder of Pro Audio Voices, we're coming up on our 13-year anniversary really soon. And it's given me a lot of experience to understand deeply what our authors need and what our listeners want, because I am both an author also and a passionate audiobook listener. And I talk with so many people in this realm. So I believe that I have a pretty good finger on the pulse as to what's needed. And our determination to help our authors succeed in this realm is what drives us with AMPlify Audiobooks. So the other platforms, they've changed their math. We've changed the whole game. We are changing the realm of audiobooks for listeners, for authors, for publishers, for narrators, for everyone who is a part of this. We're bringing us together so we can build community together around something that we are all passionate about. And so, as I mentioned early on, this is the first of a series on this particular topic, on the distribution shakeup. On the next episode in this series, we'll be talking about the sort of ACX decoded, why the math still favors Amplify. That'll be in the next episode. And then the going wide versus going direct. And this will, look at some other elements of the equation. And then we're going to have a fourth episode that is really building a distribution strategy. So I hope that you will join us for those. And please, any authors, friends that you know who have an audiobook, I hope that you will let them know about this series, because this is going to be really important information for them. So you can share the link to the podcast episode or on the YouTube channel or elsewhere. And if they have questions, if you have questions, please reach out to me and let me know. You can reach out by scheduling a call on proaudiovoices.com. And meanwhile, I wish you the very best. Keep listening. Thanks for joining me here on Audiobook Connection. Thanks for joining me on Audiobook Connection. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with a fellow book lover or author. Until next time, keep listening, keep creating, and keep connecting.